agonizing delay of payment for verified farmers continues. The government had announced that 1.4 billion had been set aside in preparation to pay verified farmers today. So far, we can authoritatively report that the Cabinet Secretary of Ministry of Devolution has come to life. Adding to the unfulfilled list of pending matters is the price of maize flour, which still remains at 130 shillings retail in the supermarkets. Elvis Kosgei joining us from Eldoret, crossing over to him in Uasin Gishu County, getting the latest, and he is our North Rift region reporter. Elvis, what is the current state of affairs?
Thank you very much. For the better part of the farmers waited anxiously over their payments, with some saying no money had been deposited in their accounts. Also, remember last Friday, the Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Omalo had said that 900 farmers had been cleared for the payment after the verification. Remember also the C had mentioned the board will pay 514 farmers who owed the government 2 million and below 386 farmers who will be paid later. But up to now, one farmer from Maize constituency in Uasin Gishu County, Jackson Pombai, says that the government should ensure that genuine and large-scale farmers benefit from part of the 1.4 billion shillings that was released. Also, delaying paying for farmers owed over 2 million shillings will be discriminatory. I also managed to talk to the SFR board, and they were scheduled to meet yesterday to deliberate on the payment, but up to now, nothing has been forthcoming from the board, also following several failed promises to clear their arrears. Some maize producers are skeptical that the government will honor their latest pledge to release the due. Remember, they also wanted Agriculture Ministry to fast-track payment for maize deliveries made to NCPB. If you can remember, this is something that we've been keeping an eye and following the several promises that have been promises. All the maize producers, be it small-scale or large-scale farmers, they needed money. Remember, they obtained credit facility from financial institutions and even friends for transport and other costs. And that's the main reason why they needed that money. I can also say that the maize farmers in the region want the state to ensure that the 1.4 billion shillings released towards payment of maize supplies to the National Cereals and Produce Board should also benefit the small-scale and large-scale farmers. And this is the reason why the SFR was meeting yesterday, in a meeting that I'm told did not happen, where they were deliberating whether to pay the large or small-scale farmers in the region, because the farmers said that the criteria that should be used should not be discriminatory, arguing that every farmer who delivers produce to replenish the government's strategic food reserve should also have a share of the funds. Remember, the money part of 3.5 billion owed to the farmers in the maize-growing areas. So they say the amount released is still inadequate, but the government should also ensure the user criteria that will ensure that both small-scale and large-scale farmers get at least a share as they wait clearance of the entire 3.5 billion shillings owed to the farmers.
Elvis, as Elvis is stating there is a much larger amount owed to the farmers, 3.5 billion according to his comments, as opposed to the 1.4 billion that Treasury released, as Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich said. So Elvis, as we know of now, none of the farmers have received any of their payments, and their dues are amounting to much more than what the Treasury has released.
Yes, as we speak, maize farmers are yet to be paid, and some have started harvesting the current season crop. Remember, we also have maize at the farms where they're also questioning why the NCPB up to now is still not open. Remember, the NCPB silos were shut before the entire last season harvest, where farmers bought and still hold over more than 500,000 bags in their stores, hence fears of the glut. Last week, maize producers presented their memoranda to the Senate committee here in Uasin Gishu County about the crisis in a meeting that was held, public hearings in the North Rift region. So as farmers say here in the region, that in the future, the state also should only be taking produce that is able to pay rather than holding farmers' harvest for long.
Well, Elvis, one final question for you. What do the farmers have to say about the 75 shilling rate that is supposedly going to be implemented when it comes to maize flour? However, in the markets, it is still at 130 shillings. But what is their opinion on the 75 shillings for maize flour that is supposed to be implemented soon?
Okay, according to the farmers here in the region, they're saying that, remember, the NCPB took maize from farmers on credit and has never paid for about a year, despite frequent promises from top officials, and they've been struggling to plant the current crop despite the huge debts. So according to them, that's just a drop of water in the ocean, where they think that the government is playing games with them, and that's the reason why they think the government will also impose high prices on these products, because if they want, the farmers want to benefit from the entire crop, which they used a lot of resources, they maximize inputs in the farm, and this is some of the reasons why they think that the government should also make sure that through relevant authorities, maize producers also presented their memoranda last week on the maize prices, but up to now, some of them have started harvesting the current crop. So they think the NCPB silos, which were shut before the entire last season, should also be opened.
Very much, Elvis Koskei there joining us and telling us more about what the farmers on the ground have to say with in relation to the dues they are owed, of course, and in relation to the maize flour. But let's now cross over, because we have, of course, our guest with us in studio, that is Peter Kuguru. Thank you for joining us, Peter.
Yes, thank you, madam, and thank you for the viewers and for the KTN News for inviting us as millers to come and express the issues regarding maize milling.
Yes. Now, let's, start off with the fact that Mr. Kiunjuri stated that the board is selling maize to millers at 1,600 shillings, adding that traders also lower the price of 2 kilogram maize flour to 75. Haven't seen that take in effect yet. But, what are your comments on this particular price point?
The correct situation now in the market, in the milling market, is that the maize from the farmers is being sold due to oversupply. Within the laws of supply and demand, the maize is being sold to the millers at a price of about 1,600 shillings a bag. And that is what the minister, in agreement with us as millers, was saying that we can afford to release a bill of maize, which is 24 kilos, to the outlets at 800 shillings per bill. And if we release that to the market at 800 shillings, it translates to 66 shillings per packet. That means that the retail outlet can make the 14 bob or 15 bob and release the price to the consumer at 75 shillings. From 66, he gets, the shopkeeper gets at 66, and he makes 9 bob and releases to the user, end user.
Have their markup and still have profit margins.
Yeah.
And, farmers in the North Rift said fixing prices might destabilize the local market, resulting in a decline in farm gate prices. To what degree is that likely then?
Well, the farmers in a value chain, the farmers need to make money so that they can continue to plant, even for the coming rains. Unless they do make money, they will not be too keen to do charity work to plant and sell the maize at a loss.
Yes.
So we are appealing to the government as millers to subsidize the farmer. Number one, to buy all the maize, and because there's capacity within National Cereal Board, they should buy the maize and store it in a cereal board. But they are not going to stay to store it for long. So the sense is that if you buy maize within and keep it in a cereal board, and the cereal board sells it to millers, it will become a transition facility where they buy all the maize from the millers, from the farmers, and the millers buy the maize from a cereal board. And a cereal board can make a profit, so that it can service their own costs. The government does not, in the future, does not need to give cereal board money to buy maize from the farmers. The cereal board should be transformed and restructured so that it buys maize from a farmers and sells it to the millers at a profit, at a small profit.
Yes.
And the whole thing becomes dynamic.
Yes, so you want a reform in the National Cereal Board, essentially, to facilitate better movement. Now, payments for deliveries made to the Cereals Board between October 2017 and April 2018 were delayed, as is what we're waiting for. And apparently it was caused by lack of funds, verification of farmers, incapacitation of the board's strategic food reserve that is supposed to make the payment. Now, was this verification process, in your opinion, conducted in the most time-saving way for the farmers?
I think within the system of buying maize from a farmer to the cereal board, there is inefficiency, incompetence, as well as interest to defraud some farmers. So you can see that in the past there is some brokers who come in between and they won't cheat the farmers. They even lower the price of farm gate maize to 900 bob, and they deliver it to the cereal board as if they're the farmers, and they make all the money, and the farmer does not make money. If that situation is corrected, I think the government now is very keen on fighting corruption. If that is corrected, the farmer will get his money in time, will get money without a middleman, and the cereal board should sell now the maize to the millers and leave a more margin, and the miller will mill the maize and sell it to the consumer, and the consumer will get a maize meal at a reasonable price.
So essentially everyone will win.
It will become a good value chain.
Yes. Now, as we wrap up, I want you to kindly highlight some of the greatest challenges that the farmers are facing right now, in your opinion, and what should be done.
The farmers' biggest challenge is that they are not getting paid for their money, for their maize delivered to the cereal board in time. And you know, when they are frustrated because some of them make long queues to deliver maize to the board depot. They can make queues for a month before their maize is accepted. And that's a frustration.
Yes.
So I think that the government need to open up all the depots so that farmers can take their maize to all the depots, and there are many. So we've got depots in Madeira, we've got depots in Nanyuki, we've got depots in area, we've got depots Sagana, Nairobi, Muranga, we've got depots in Konza, Mombasa, we've got depots in South Rift, North Rift. All of them, some of them are empty. So, and if the depots are loaded with the maize from the farmers, then the maize is released to the millers. We can mill this maize and supply to the outlet at a reasonable price. Right now, the problem we are facing is that, as I said, we are receiving maize at about 1,600 shillings per bag of 90 kilos. We are selling this maize to the retailers at 800 shillings. The retailers are retailing the maize for the maize meal, the ugali flour, at 75 bob for 2 kilo packet. But the big millers, as well as the big outlet and supermarket, are refusing to reduce the price to the consumer, and they're still selling it over 100 bob. And this is wrong, because this is impunity. Because we have met, we have agreed, we have issued statement that maize will be sold at 75 shillings per 2 kilo packet. Do you know the reason? Is that now the cost of living for the mwananchi in Kenya is too high. Everything is going up. Petrol is going up, electricity is going up. All these things are causing an inflation that is not matched with the cost of living.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We want to reduce the price of food so that we eliminate a food revolution. And the only way we can reduce the price of food is reducing the staple foods.
Okay.
Maize, rice, potatoes, all these things. Therefore, we want the outlets to commit themselves to sell the maize meal at 75 shillings for 2 kilo packs.
Yes.
Whether it's supermarket, all brands of unga, there's no specialized unga, all brands of unga to be sold at 75 bob for 2 kilo pack.
All right, thank you very much, Peter Kuguru. They're joining us on Business Today, shedding light, of course, on the plight of maize farmers, as well as the ongoing tussle between the government and the farmers when it comes to payment and dues that they have been owed for more than 9 months. And thank you very much.
I wanted to say something about fortification. Yes. The government has passed a law that all maize meal should be fortified. And you know, it's a crazy law, because even if you fortify, number one, you cannot check the quality of the premix to fortify. Number two, once you fortify, you cannot check the quality of the maize meal because the cost of sampling and testing is too high. So everything is now left to guesswork. So the government need to eliminate the fortification requirement for small millers.
Okay.
And they should only issue instruction to fortify to millers milling above 200 tons per day. Everybody else should be exempted.
Now, owing to, of course, time constraints, that is the final word we're going to have from you, Chairman of Small Scale Maize Millers and the United Grain Millers Association, Peter.